Hello guys, good afternoon. So welcome back to our tutorial service. So yesterday we've done with this basic uh, setting. So we're able to create the project for our ASP.NET Core Identity System. Uh, this afternoon or today we are going to continue with the project and we will be building the API authentication using token based or the JWT authentication. So we're gonna start with that and then we are going to create first the services. So as a quick introduction, so basically what is identity? Is a membership system that adds plugin functionality to ASP.NET Core application. So we will be using the ASP.NET Core identity system. It's already built in by the ASP.NET Core. So it will allow us to manage user passwords, profiles, email confirmation. Even we can have two-factor authentication, roles, and there are lots more of features like claims. It's the same with roles like that. And JSON Web Token is a self-contained way to transfer JSON object securely between two parties. So in our Web API, we will generate a JSON Web Token. So it's composed of five set of keys, the credentials. We can add secret key. We can add the claims, even the expiry date when that generated token will expire. For example, if you can set it every 30 minutes or 30 seconds, you can do it. And also, when the user or when the request already have the token, so we will use that token to access the protected area of your application. So in this service, uh, I will be teaching you in detail so what we're going to do. All right. So by the way, if you're asking what is the difference between authentication versus authorization, it's basically authentication is, are you authorized to access the system? That is the user credential. When you say authorization, you are authorized to the system, but are you authorized to access the resources or feature? So that is about permission or roles or claims to access, for example, this endpoint or this part of the application is just for admin and your login credential is just for user. So there will be an functionality for that the normal user cannot access to the admin protected area. All right, so that is authorization. But authentication is, do you have access to the system? That is authentication. All right, so we will start. So before we start to code, writing the code, I need to show you something. So this is the diagram of how this one with authentication is process or the process of the architecture or the process of the this one with authentication. As you can see, we have a login here, user password request to the server, and then there should be arrow here for the encryption algorithm. Part of the encryption algorithm is you also include the claims or the roles as well as your secret key. So user credentials, secret key, roles, claims, expiry date, and it will be decoded. I mean encrypted. Oh, there are built-in algorithm to decrypt, and that will form our token. So that token will be sent to the client who requests it. So if the client now get the token, when he access to the protected area, so for example this endpoint, you will just um, apply or include the token that is authorized. Usually it will be put in the authorization header request. So it will inject it, the token. So if it's a valid token and not expire, so you can access the protected area of your application, right? So you are not going to input user credential. So only one if you are authorized. I mean, if you are authenticated and then you get the JWT token, and then the next request should be the authorization if you have access to that restricted area with your valid token. So that's the process. Okay, so let's get into the code. So we'll start with the startup. So what in the demo first we live here. We just actually created the database in our local database. So now we are going to add the identity. So this is built in. So we're gonna add services that add identity. So this identity, so identity user type, identity user, and let's bring up the namespace. This is the ASP.NET Core identity, and the other one is the identity role. Identity role. Okay. So it's also in ASP.NET Core identity. Alright, so after that you can have the option variable passing the lambda, just like above. So terminate here. Now we are going to configure in the option. Let's say for example the password option password required digits, you can set this to true. So there are lots of things that you can configure there. Option that for example password that required lowercase, can you set it to true? Alright, can you set it to true? Option that password required length, this is not important. So let's say for example 6 only. So I think that's for now. So whatever your requirements, you can just add. It's already predefined in the identity user. All right, so we just say 3 criteria, and then after that we add the identity framework store. So what this is does is add entity framework implement the identity information store. So basically, you can uh, research this or read this in the documentation of the Microsoft this before. And then we add here the our connection string. I mean our class that will connect to this one authentication DB context. Authentication DB context. That one. That's our class that will connect to our entity framework or skill server. All right, and then we're gonna add default token provider. Okay, so we already add the identity there in the services. Next, we add services, add authentication, add authentication here. So let's see, authentic, uh, variable here. Auth, is equal. Let's just bring it in down. 'Cause, 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 now. Let us close it. So we add here the authentication criteria. So let's see add authentication default scheme. So we will be using now JWT Bearer because this is JWT authentication. JWT Bearer default. It's not authentication scheme. So we need to bring an new piece. But first we need to install the netcore authentication bearer. So it's here. Find and install the latest version. This right. Comparing so it's not going to package restore failed rolling package. So I think we just need to install stuff and then the package manager. So that is install package. Microsoft is in core authentication is GW error. And we'll specify the version. So we will be using the print one. So it will be compatible with our SP.NET Core 3.1. So you can see after installing it's now you can add now here the name piece. Okay, this is the name piece. The authentication scheme. And we need to configure another one that is challenge default challenge scheme. So we have to state this zero default is the same authentication scheme. Alright, after that we need to add other option. This is an extension. So we have another setting. Okay. Option token validation parameters is equal to new token token validation parameters like that. Yeah, token validation parameters. And here below you cannot have the validate. For example, validate issuer. Validate issuer. You can set it to true. And then validate audience. Set it to true. Another one is validate valid audience. Valid audience we can get it from configuration. This is our own setting. And let's see authentication, then inside is audience. So value this will be set in our let's add this to our updating. Okay. So we need to add here an array like that. So and then yes, child leader. This one is audience. Then audience, and let's set the value. So audience or any value that you can set here. So this will be part of the algorithm to the authentication to form the algorithm to form the generated token. So it's correctly. This is in here. Then next we can set the valid issuer because we're issuer audience valid issuer, so we can also set it in that setting and same authentication. Then we can just say it issuer like that. So we add the issuer. Let's see. This is your and will also so any value you can define that. Then next we have to required expiration. This is the required expiration date that you can set to second or any when we implement this. So set it to true. And then issue key, issue signing key. So we'll set it to new and then we will use the algorithm symmetric security. Okay. So we have the signing keys here. So it will be a Microsoft model tokens and then we pass the encoding. So by the name is in text system.txt. That's 58 that 8 bytes. 8 bytes then we get byte from the configuration. Issued signing key, this is the key that we can define ourselves. So this is the secure key because you're only the one who know this key. This one that we put it for now uh, in our up setting. So we just give it a name key, right? So that's it. Then we need to validate the signing key, so it will be included in the validation. Set it to true. Okay, so then we have to add the key here and then the value. This is our secret key. That's like that. It will be part of the encryption algorithm. So what have we done here? Okay, so I think this part is a big problem here. We don't have this this part here. Since we have the token, simplify it. So the authentication scheme. Here option valid token is no parameters and so parameters here, and we have to close this because there's no closing, so it will be here, and then the services. Okay, so that's now the configuration of our JWT token. So as you can see, we added identity user setting the password criteria, then add it to integer store using our created class authentication DB context that inherit to identity DB context. And then we set the authentication. We use JWT scheme, and then we set the parameters. So we are ready now for our JWT token configuration. So now we have to create our. So for now, we think I need to create a folder here, a folder for the services. Okay, then as a folder, uh, where I put my interfaces. So it's an interface. Alright, so basically, when you are in dependency injection, you should have to create interface, and that's the signature, and then you can have the implementation in the services folder. So for now, we're gonna create first the user services. Okay, so all right, I just added this shared view model. So basically, this is a class library for the DTO data transfer object. So what I have here is the login view model. So this is the properties. So I just created this and some other projects. So I will just reuse it here, and also register view model. So this is a class library because in the implementation we'll be using also this. So we will not create and create them in every project. So we just use it. Okay, so uh, what we will create first is the registration. So registration model, this one. We need to create an email, password, and a confirm password. So we'll go back to our services in the interface folder. We will add an interface, a plus. So we will add an interface here. So we will call it user service. Unity public. And this user service, we're gonna add tasks. So user manager is fine. This is the response type. So this is an mastered view model, so that's fine. Alright, so we're gonna name it registered user, and this is task, so we name it as in registered view model, so this is the model. Right, so that's our registration. Now I'm going to create our. We'll add another signature in the next time. So we just implement first one signature for now. So we will create a concrete class or implementation here. Add class. So we will name it user service. So basically this one in here is the I interface user service. So later on I will discuss and show you why we need to have an interface, um, to implement it, why we need to have an interface. I will show it later why we can not just directly create the implementation class. Alright, so we add try-catch here for any possible error. So registered async. So first we need to check the user from a digital model here. So if model is equal to null, so there's no user. So what we'll do, we throw new null recurrence error. I have an error message already here. So null model. Okay, so this part also is in third, this one, third messages. So every time we need to change the message, so this is the only part that we need to change. Okay. Okay. Next checking is you check if the model, the password is not equal to the model that confirm password. So if it's not equal, we will return new user managers and then set the message. Return new user manager respond. Message. Confirm password not confirm password not match. And then is success is false. So if they have no the same, if password and confirm password is not the same, so we set it to false. So yeah, so what's the problem here? If model password not equal to model that confirm password, we need to return new user managers response message, and that is the message. And we need to put a sync here. Sync as okay, next checking. Need to identity, create identity user first. New identity user, identity user. So let's see, let me this here. This is in the ASP.NET identity form. Right, this will set the email which is equal to the model.email, and then the username This is also the module that MM. So this is the same as the email username. Alright, so that's it. And now we are going to check the user. So result is with user manager. So we need to inject the user manager first in the here. So we need to sit on here. This is the dependency injection user manager of identity user, the user that um, we name it as user manager variable, and then of course user manager is equals to private variable read only type user manager type identity user, and then it's user manager. It's user manager. User manager. So 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 that's how we inject the dependency injection constructor part. But before that, before you're able to use that, you need to add in the startup the identity. You have to inject it here. So here we have to inject the services. This is how we are going to inject our interface and the concrete. So this is how it is being, just like when you want to create an object of the class, you have to create new class like that. But in dependency injection, you cannot have that to have a loosely coupled, so it's not dependent on the class implementation. So Microsoft Entity Framework, this is dependency injection. You have to inject it from here. We add scope, so type. So this is the scope service type, the lifetime. So there is a transient, a singleton like that. So this one is we are going to use the iUser interface, iUser service. This is the interface, and then the concrete implementation is your user service. Am I right? User service. So we just need to bring the name piece. This one is services. Okay. Okay, so services as scope. This is yeah, a lifetime. So I think this. And then now we are going to use go back here. So okay, so we need to go here. Result. We need to check. Underscore user manager variable. Now this is built in now in the identity framework. Get user a string, so we need to pass the identity user that we just defined as a variable small percent identity user. And then we need to pass the module password. This is not give, so it's create a sync. So because we are going to register, create a sync. Okay, so we are going to validate if result is succeeded. If result succeeded, then uh yeah, we need to get the token there. So confirm by confirm and a token. So let's just add it. The user manager that generate generate email confirmation async. So this is built in already. So just have to pass that into the user again. Okay. And then first we need to encode the token. Encode token. Encode email token. Should be an encoding syntax. Encoding UTF-8 bytes. And confirm email token. So basically we just decode it so you can see email token because we will use that in the confirmation email. And then valid email token should be equals to with encoder. Encoders will bring the beneficiary. Encoder the B64. We pass the encoded email token. So we we encode and then we decode. So after that, if so we'll do this later to have a confirmation email. This is just to verify if the registering user has really registering their valid email. Okay, so we just click it here for then it all goes good. So we need to return the user manager response with the message equals message user created and then that is success. that's it. So we have one implementation method in our user monitor service. So this is also part of the solid principle. So single responsibility principle. So you are creating class that's only have one responsibility. So if we are going to use user, for example, about creation of user, so that's why we have separated it here. We create the user service. This is all about the user information, user action. Okay. So now our user service is now ready to I'm not able to return. Succeeded. I think this one I just put it here. Okay, so we'll go back later. What here? We need to create confirmation email. Okay, so this user service is ready to engage now. So we will create the controller, API controller now. Going to the controller folder. So we'll add controller. We'll select API controller. We'll name it as Authentication Controller. So there we go. We have the route API controller and then this authentication controller. So in our localhost, in our with address, we can call it localhost API, then authentication controller like that. So we will have the constructor so we can inject the properties by the services that we're gonna be able to use this. So first we need the iUser services. iUser service, this is the interface. So you say that we are accessing not the concrete class but the signature or the interface. So we say user service and the other one is maybe the configuration if we need to use it. Yeah, we need to use the configuration because we set in configuration and this is the variable configuration. Alright, so what happened? What is a configuration? And this is the configuration. What's the shortcut when creating is oh, we have to automatically create the well this one. So this is the shortcut and this one also. What's the configuration? I just need it. So we'll be using this one. I forgot this shortcut here to create an assignment. Also like this. Just I don't want to use the this. Actually, the this is referring to the core class. So I did this because they have the same name variables. We have to use the this to distinguish each other. So think it's differently. So now we have the dependency injection in the constructor part. So that's why we can be able to use the user service implementation and also the configuration. So Anchor, we are not creating or instantiating the user service class directly. So it's being injected. That's why we have to use create interface. Okay, so now we are going to define our public method. Task public method asynchronous. This is asynchronous. Task of I action result. So this is action model defines the contract that represents the result of the action method. So we will have the register async here. We will pass the from body. This is where we can get the input in the registration form. And we need to register view model. And that is our model. Insert VM. Okay. And we need to declare this as HTTP post because we are going to post it to the server. So we are going to register, right? And because you don't want to have the register async as in our name in the API endpoint, so we can declare it that as register only from here. So that's fine. Alright, so we just need to return bad request if it's not home. Bad request and error message. Invalid request. Invalid properties. So if there are something error, so we need to what is this? Okay. Alright, so we check first the state, model state of the form, model state. So this is valid. So we can have result is equal to await because this is asynchronous. Await that's user mod service that the method that we just defined there is registered using async. So we pass the model. Okay, the model is the input from here. Okay, so you see. So this one, that's the method that we create here. So if we use that in other implementation, we can just easily inject and get that. So we are not repeating code here. So if result is succeeds, so that's where we return okay request. So this is a valid request. So okay object yes an object that produces started code 200. Okay. What is okay? Wait a minute. Result. Okay, result. And then if not valid, we have to return bad request. So bad request result. So bad request there's our error. Okay. So just like that. So now we try to invoke this in our web API and let's see if we can register. But because we have no front end or we have no client now, so we're gonna use Postman to test it. Okay, so let's run this API first. There's some error. First. this problem. I have a problem like this. So we are trying to launch our project now. Alright, so this is the default that the API is having. So we just need to get this address, this endpoint, go to Postman. Here's my Postman. So let's try post method register here. Post method, and our address is API that register. Okay, and we have not found. We need to include the uh, authentication controller. Yeah, authentication API controller register. So authentication API authentication register. And we will need to confirm password. This is register. My password equals to 6. If it is false, and let's see. Send it as confirm. Confirm password code is required. Stick on here. Okay. Password, confirm password. Confirm password. So, see, we are testing out the API. So, if you are going to debug, the model is valid. So, that's what we are passing in the body. Okay. So, there, if we debug this one, it will go to our registered user, this one. So, this is the model that being passed. Okay. Then we click the model. Password is the same with then the identity. Then this is created the identity framework. So, we just pass it there. And result is succeeded or it succeeded. So this part will be done in the confirmation. So we will implement it later. So basically we are generating the confirm email token here, and we also decode it into bytes. And after that we need to have the valid token. So that's for the confirmation. So this one we already registered, so that's why it will have to resolve. Okay, resolve token. User created successfully and its success is true. That's nice. So we will check the database. So in this part two, we're able to configure the JWT authentication method, and also we created the register in our user service class as we implement it in our controller API controller to pass the user password to be created in our database. And we we just use Postman for now to fire up the API to register. And later on we can use the client. You are the mobile client, you have the ASP.NET Core client, so you just use the API to register. So now we are going to check in our table ASP.NET user. It is really actually registering there. So if there's an input or data here, that's it. Okay. Oh, right. So we're able to register it, and everything is taken care of this with that netcore. For example, this one password hash, we are not setting it manually. All it's all done by ASP.NET Core Identity System. All right, guys. So for now, this is I think the video is so long, so we will cut it from here, and we will see you soon in the next video for the other user services that we will create. For example, the login, confirm email, receive password like that. So now we were able to register and yeah. Uh, when we log in, we need to generate the valid generated token from that credential that we just uh, log in on the database right now. So thanks for watching, guys. See you soon in the next video. All right, guys.